Cannabis has been used for various medical purposes throughout history, and its use can be traced back to ancient civilizations such as India, China, and Egypt. In ancient India, cannabis was used for a pain reliever and was also used in architecture. In China, cannabis was used for medical purposes as early as 2700 BC, and it was believed to have a wide variety of range of healing properties including pain relief, anti-inflammatory effects, the ability to treat various diseases. In Egypt, cannabis was used as a medicine and a psychoactive agent and was often used to treat ailments such as glaucoma, inflammation, and various other conditions. The use of cannabis for medical purposes in these ancient civilizations provides a glimpse into the rich history of the plant and its therapeutic properties. One secondary source states the importance of yin, masculine, and yang, more feminine, as it was a way for them to live in balance and harmony, but the Chinese realized that the female plant was far more useful in healing. The Chinese cultivated the female plant more than the male. This is important because masculine and feminine were both in balance in Chinese culture, but to provide more healing, the Chinese only started to harvest the female plant, proving the importance of cannabis used for healing in ancient China. This is just the beginning of how Chinese use cannabis for medical purposes. Similarly, there are ancient artifacts of proof of how Chinese would prepare cannabis for medical and healing purposes. Wooden braziers were found most likely used to heat up and burn cannabis plants. The braziers were likely used in religious and shamanistic practices. This artifact was used in 25 BC, as there was 10 of them found in between 8 ancient burial tombs. These specific artifacts were found in western China at a cemetery, but it is theorized that these braziers were used throughout western and eastern China. This artifact was likely used by shamans and religious leaders to burn and use cannabis to heal. Or this artifact was likely used as a way for entheogen practices to happen and for people to create spiritual experiences. A direct source as to how the ancient Chinese used cannabis for healing comes from their leader Shen Nong. In the ancient text Shen Nong Ban Chao King, this translation states that if there was excessive consumption of the word Mayfin, it causes one to run around in a frantic state and see ghosts. The word Mayfin likely means cannabis, as there was not much else that, if consumed, would cause mind-altering states like seeing ghosts. This healing as the use of Mayfin would give a user extreme hallucinations, and that would let the user fight their inner demons and come out of the experience feeling a sense of healing and accomplishment. This is an example of healing, as users be cured from or rid of inner mental stresses and anxieties. Cannabis was also used for healing in the ancient Egyptian society. According to a primary source in the ancient medical text, the Ebers Papyrus, there were formulas created using cannabis and hemp to alleviate pain and inflammation from diseases. Women specifically would use cannabis to wave off depression and any other mental health problems. This healing was very important, as it was a way for users to alleviate the pain that was prevalent in everyday life, as well as alleviate inner mental health problems such as anxiety and depression. An artifact that was found directly links healing and cannabis in ancient Egypt is the mummy of the pharaoh Ramses II. This mummy was uncovered in 1881, and traces of cannabis was found in the mummy system. Since then, more mummies have been uncovered and have also had traces of hemp and cannabis in them, further proving that ingestion of cannabis was a normal activity in ancient Egypt culture. This clearly shows the correlation between cannabis used for healing and medical purposes and the ancient Egyptian civilization. Next, cannabis was used medically as a way for users to allow evil spirits to exit the body. Ingesting cannabis was a way for users to heal from evil spirits or forces, or likely what we now refer to as mental health issues. Lastly, as described in the Ebers Papyrus, cannabis was used to alleviate pain in the fingers or toes. Cannabis was mixed with honey, ochre head, Jew, resin, obu plant, and applied to the painful area. Yet again, another example of the Egyptians using cannabis as an anti-inflammatory. Ancient India is another ancient society that used cannabis for healing. Cannabis was commonly referred to as bhang in India, and many thought that cannabis was one of the 5 sacred plants, and that the guardian angel lived in its leaves. Ancient Indians would use cannabis to treat both respiratory and digestive systems. A specific artifact that proves the usage and importance of cannabis in India is that 10% of the plaster used in ancient Indian caves is cannabis sativa. The ancient Indians used this as it created a natural deterrent for any insects. This artifact is important because it proves that not only was cannabis used for healing, but it was also used in all aspects of life. It proves that cannabis was a very important and essential part of ancient Indian day-to-day lives. Lastly, in the ancient text called the Atharva Veda is one of the four sacred texts of Hinduism religion. In it, cannabis is named one of the five sacred plants. Cannabis is also referred to as the source of happiness and the liberator. This is important as it shows the level of respect and importance the Hindus and the ancient Indians had for cannabis. To be the liberator also shows the healing aspects of cannabis because it has likely liberated the user from mental health issues/demons similar to the Egyptians. Cannabis has a rich history of medical use in ancient civilizations such as India, China, and Egypt. These societies use cannabis for a variety of purposes, including pain relief, anti-inflammatory effects, and the ability to treat various diseases. Chinese and Egyptian artifacts show evidence of how the cannabis plant was prepared and used for medical and spiritual purposes. The Shennong Ben Tao Jing ancient text and the Ebers Papyrus provide insight into use of cannabis in ancient medical practices. In India, however, the use of cannabis in plaster showed its importance beyond just healing.